Hi guys, my name is Zubaidah'a, and for my project, the title is Ooze, an Identity Crisis. So in this project, I'm basically making an ooze that changes back from a solid to a liquid, and it changes back only when you add force, turning it into a solid, and release the force, and it turns into a liquid. So that's why it's called an identity crisis. So the purpose of this is to witness what happens and to figure out how this works. So for my hypothesis, I thought that it's because of the particle's movement. Adding the force changes the particle's movement, which changes the state of matter that it's in. So the materials you'll need is about half cup of water and about a whole cup of cornstarch. Of course, you need the cups also. You can have food coloring if you like, and you have a bowl and a surface that you're not really, it's fine if it gets dirty. So first I'm going to add my cornstarch. Then you'll add your food coloring if you want to. That's optional. So you put in about 1-2 drops. And then we'll put in the water. And don't just try and put in the right amount. And you're going to mix it as you go. Try not to have too much force when you do it. Just mix it with your fingers. It's really messy, but it's pretty cool. So make sure that your powder is all wet. That's what you want to do. And this substance really reminded me of quicksand when I was doing it, because people say, when you're in quicksand, don't put too much force, because then you have more trouble getting out. So keep mixing with your fingers. Mix, mix, mix. And you'll feel that solid. You'll start feeling that solid. You see, you put pressure and it turns into a solid, and you leave it alone, it turns into liquid. So it's ready. So they say that to test this if it's ready is you need to tap the surface, and if it splashes onto you, it's not ready. It needs something more. But if you tap it and feels like a solid, then it is ready. See how I put that force? If you put your fingers into it, it's water. Try and get out, it's like solid. See that? When I press on it, it's a solid. You let it go, it's a liquid. Pretty cool. You can keep mixing. Keep mixing. So now I think it's about ready. You leave it alone, it's a liquid. You press it, it's a solid. Really cool. So this is that. That is how you make your ooze. So the result was this. I figured out that this has particles is half of it and viscosity is some of it. So what happens in this is that this fluid is called a non-Newtonian fluid, because Sir Isaac Newton defined the properties of liquid when he was a scientist. He defined the properties of liquid, and this does not fall into those properties. Other substances that don't fall into those properties is ketchup, surprisingly, and quicksand. So what basically happens is this, you add force, solid, you let it go, liquid. So that's the results of what happened. My conclusion is that particles was half of it and viscosity was other. Now, what happens is that when you add this force, there's something that happens called the water shears away, which is technically called sideways shearing. And what's left is the ooze, and the water's viscosity does not change, but the ooze's viscosity does. So that's what happens. And in my abstract, I figured out that my hypothesis was not completely right, because the particles had half the part and viscosity had the other half. So it was pretty cool finding something that didn't fall into Newton's laws and Newton's way of things working. So this is my ooze. You let it go solid. You add force. It is crazy. Let it go. It is liquid. You would squeeze it solid. So that's the conclusion of my project. So this was Ooze, an Identity Crisis. Thanks for watching, guys.